Welcome to a podcast named Tim, here for another Power Rangers Dino Fury review. Today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 5, entitled Winning Attitude. Before we get into the review and the monster rating of the week, of course, get the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Does a lot to help us out. So, this is a decent episode. There's some issues, and I finally, we're 5 episodes in, and I'll get into it in a minute, but I finally realized what my issue is with Dino Fury. If you've watched some of my other reviews, I'm having trouble getting into this season in comparison to past seasons. If you like it, hey, more power to you. I'm happy you're enjoying it, but this is not held up, for me at least. But what are we doing here with this episode? Basically, Izzy is training for a cross-country event that's coming up. She has a Special Olympics athlete that is training her, so that is awesome. Participated in a camp once before to help out special needs athletes, and one of the most rewarding experiences you can have. So kudos on Power Rangers for including that and highlighting the Special Olympics. So that's her trainer, and basically the issue is the next day when they're supposed to train, she doesn't show up, and she says that she was shopping, which we find out later she was helping out someone who had been injured, basically to help them with their shopping or the special needs. It looks like they had a cast on, so I think there was just someone that was injured. But she's been helping someone regardless with their shopping. And she kind of tells Izzy there's other things that are more important than winning. And of course, once Izzy realizes this, she feels bad. I think I get what they're going for here. I think it could have been done better, only because when she said, "Oh, I was out shopping," I was like, "Well, you were." I was on Izzy's side. I was like, "You should have been here training with me. You told me you were going to be here." If she would have said like I was with a friend, or I had other important things to do, I don't know, something else than just like, oh, I was shopping. I don't know. It seemed like a weird way to phrase that. But I get what we're going for here. So that's the main story that the Rangers in their demorphed form are going through. What are the actual Rangers going through? Well, they're looking for their zords. They can't find them, and they think that it might be buried under a bunch of rocks and all this other stuff. But they're looking for their zords. They think it might be near where the orb was found at one point. And we cut to Area 62, where where Void Knight has a plan. He also wants to find the zords and, of course, destroy them. And luckily, he found like a map that some people in Area 62 at some point had drawn a circle around that said there's some weird metal signals we're getting out of here. So he thinks that's where the zords are. And basically he builds a drill bomb that they're going to use in order to blow up the zords underground. So good plan. The Sporks Beast that shows up this episode is Brine Blast, and we'll get into him in a moment as far as his actual look and ratings and all that good stuff like we always do. But basically the Rangers are having a fight. They're trying to, Izzy on her cross-country run hears Boom Tower and Mucus and Brine Blast, and they're able to stop them from blowing up the Zord. And we get our first, I guess, newer version of a transformation. And it's a different version of the Megazord with the Green Ranger as the head. I think it's interesting that we have these different versions, so I'll be interested to see how many different versions of the Megazord there are, and then kind of what, I'm assuming there's some kind of ultimate version. But we have another version. I'd like the Saber-Tooth Tiger Zord, like the old Saber-Tooth Tiger Zord and Mighty Morphin as well. And this one had a very like Zoid, if you've watched Zoids, I think it was New Century, I want to say, like a Liger look to it. I think it was like the Panzer Liger or something like that. It had a really cool look. So really enjoyed that. It did like this cool like slow motion matrix spin in the air that was interesting. But yeah, I like the Megazord design. I really like the Megazord stuff in this series. That's actually probably been some of my favorite stuff. And Mucus, I think she's just a very fun villain. But of course, the Rangers stop them, and that is that. So I'm sure next week we're going to be finding, I would assume, we're going to find the Black Ranger's Zord, and we'll see another version, etc. We're building. But what about Brian Blast? Well, there's not much to say. He is largely forgettable, in my opinion. It's kind of an octopus themed uh, Sporix Beast. He looks okay. Well, here's my system. I have 1 through 5 in each category, 5 being the best. We look at the look of the monster, the powers they have, the plan of action, and the success of that plan, and then the voice that they have. As far as the look, I gave it a 3. It's very intricate, and you could argue maybe a 4, but I would say this is a good, average, typical uh, Power Ranger monster design. So I gave it a 3. For the powers, I I almost want to give it a 1. I gave it a 2. It probably should be a 1 because it's you know what, I'll stick with 2. I'll stick with 2, but it should be a 1 probably. It's just water guns. It's like little water pistols. I mean, they're attached to its arm, so it looks cool. It's got like a Mega Man situation where it's just got 2 guns for arms, but it's a water gun arms. That's that's the power it has. It's at least unique. I'll give it that. It's not just, hey, I have a sword, but uh, not great, not great. So 2 for the powers. For the plan, again 2. I like the idea that we're going to try and be on the offensive and destroy the Power Rangers Zords before they can get to them. But this specific Spore piece wasn't necessary for this plan, so always a point off for that. Success, I gave it a 3. Had to fight a new version of the Megazord, so anytime the Rangers have to pull out a different toy to defeat the villains, always a little check mark in the book for that. So 3 for the success, and for the voice, 3 average, nothing to write home about, nothing embarrassing. So overall, I gave it a 13. So slightly below average beast, Sporks Beast here. But that's my general thoughts. Let me know what you thought about the episode and the Ranger. Excuse me, the Sporks Beast. I should say there was also a bit where Jane and Jay Borg are like teaching some kids the hotline number, and that was a fun bit. They're growing on me a little bit. But that's really it about the episode. That's all that happened. But as far as why I think what I realized about this season that's not connected with me, both things have to do with the villain. One, I don't. I'm going to compare it to Beast Morphers because I really enjoy Beast Morphers. When the Beast Morphers happened, we understood the stakes that were happening. We understood that they're trying to get Morphex so that they can bring Evox back, and we know that's bad. We know Void Knight is collecting Sporix Beasts to put in some kind of machine, but we don't have any more details on that. And I understand whatever the big reveal is about Void Knight, we're going to get that towards probably the end of the season. But I wish they would give us some little breadcrumbs. I need a little bit more of understanding of Void Knight as a villain and why he's doing what he's doing. So I need a little bit more Void Knight and just more interactions with the villains in general. And part of it, and this is my second point, is because the monsters are showing up randomly with the Sporix Beast just hatching, it makes it hard from a writing standpoint in some respects, for them to say, well, maybe it doesn't, but here's why we're using this specific monster to execute this plan to defeat the Rangers. Like when they had Vipera, that was cool. They came up with the Sporix Beast, they learned what its power was, and then they used that specific power to try and defeat the Rangers. Here, they just kind of seem like they're filling in to fight, and part of that's because when they get defeated, they become this big energy source, and that's really all he cares about. So, I don't know, it's weird. Let me know your thoughts on where you are with Dino Fury so far. Again, and with the Sporix Beast, I should say, Void Knight has 2, and the Rangers have 2. So a couple episodes in, they're 2 apiece. So that's my thoughts on the episode. See you next time here on a podcast named Tim. Please do subscribe and comment below. Happy to continue with the discourse here about Power Rangers, whether it be Beast Morpher or Dino Fury or other seasons. See you next time on a podcast named Tim.